Michael Fabinger, someone who has not only attended, as N.K. Singh ji said, both the East Coast and the West Coast, but done it at the most exalted levels, garnering a PhD, one in the science stream and one in the economic stream from both these wonderful institutions. Iqbal Sindhu ji, our own star from the IAS, and has now moved on to higher echelons. Michael Patra ji, many distinguished delegates in the audience, ladies and gentlemen. As is his strategy perennially, Mr. N.K. Singh ji has given me the arduous task of keeping everyone awake in the post-lunch session. I shall try and do my best to live up to his expectations. A person who has contributed to India's growth and India's position on the international firmament, not only through his wisdom and his intellect, but his ability to, if I may use an American phrase, cut through the chase on very, very complicated topics, ranging from the GST to the Finance Commission and many, many other contributions under his belt. Today's topic is seeking prosperity in turbulent times. And may I all remind you of a few years ago when we all grappled with probably the most turbulent time in our lives and probably the lives of the world over the last century, by the mere unleashing of a small microbe. And the devastation and the turbulence that it brought about across the globe. And therefore, from that turbulence, we learnt a very unusual lesson. That if the fate of over 1 billion companies circumventing the globe lay in the ability of a small chip the size of a fingernail. And that unusual lesson, a microchip that became the factor that would determine the output, the future, and the capability of multi-billion-dollar companies and their production patterns across the globe, all came around full circle. And for India, it was not a moment of despair, but I may say a moment of decision. And it is here that the Council of Kautilya becomes even more important. Because as he once said, and I quote, "Before you start some work, always ask yourself 3 questions. First, why am I doing it? Second, what the results will be? And third, will I succeed?" And India, ladies and gentlemen, answered all of those 3 questions in that period of turbulence. The question why? Because semiconductors are not a luxury. They are the foundation and the very fabric of future progress for mankind. The question as to what the results will be. The result would be the creation of a self-reliant, Atmanirbhar nation, securing its future and the globe's future. And the third, will we succeed? And that answer was backed by India's own semiconductor mission, with a capital outlay of close to 76,000 crores, setting up fabs across states, from Gujarat to, as Michael mentioned just now, my Assam in the northeast, skilling close to 85,000 people across the country in this new art, if you will. And as of today, in a period of only 4 years, we have invested over 1.6 lakh crores in this sector alone. And therefore, these digital diamonds, India is determined to mine. Not by chance, but by choice. With foresight, with Swadeshi confidence, and most importantly, with the guiding clarity that Chanakya gave centuries ago. The lesson that we have learned today is that turbulence is not an aberration in history. Turbulence today has become a rhythm. It disrupts, it lurches, it tests the resilience of nations. And over the last 5 years, global geopolitical turbulence has probably been at its all-time high. Why? We have conflicts and wars in every corner of the globe. That threatens energy security. We have protectionism. That affects trade barriers. We have climate shocks. That exposes us to economic vulnerability. And we have inflation stretching its fangs across every household, including developed nations. And therefore, it begs the question of us as human beings today to ask ourselves, where does prosperity lie? And when we ask ourselves that where does prosperity lie in this era of compounded turbulence, I, for one, turn to the Austrian political economist, Joseph Schumpeter, who said and believed in the concept of, quote unquote, creative destruction. And that is a feature in which one where old systems collapse and innovation creates something even stronger. So what does that mean, ladies and gentlemen? That turbulence is not a disruptor alone. Turbulence is also a catalyst. And in this tempest, India has acted as a catalyst, growing at close to 7.8% GDP growth in the first quarter of FY 25-26. India has acted as a catalyst. When geopolitically she has emerged as a fulcrum for the global south. India is the voice of fairness today. India is the voice of equity. And even as old blocks fracture, India is sought out as a bridge between the East and West, as a bridge between the North and the South. India is sought out as a guide from the present turbulence to the future direction that the world must take. And therefore I submit to you that in this age of uncertainty, which has become the norm, India is not just another destination. India, ladies and gentlemen, is the direction. India is not only the voice, India is the mission. And for those who seek prosperity in turbulent times, I urge all of them to look, move, and invest in India. Now, if turbulence teaches us anything, it is this one fact that dependence is fragility. And therefore, resilience must be cultivated within through self-reliance and foresight. And nowhere can you see this better than in the area of communications in India. With 1.22 billion mobile subscribers, with close to 944 million broadband subscribers. Mind you, 11 years ago, this number was only at 60 million. We have grown more than 15 times in the last decade of India's emergence. And along with that, you have an India today that has successfully executed 5G across the country. 99.8% of our districts today are connected by 5G in a period of only 22 months. And along with that 5G connectivity, you have now the UPI scheme, looking at India's DPI, digital public infrastructure, where the figures astound everyone across the globe. 19 billion transactions a month. Close to 260 billion transactions a year, amounting to $3 trillion. 46% of the world's digital transactions today take place nowhere else in the world, but in our Bharat, our India. And therefore, ladies and gentlemen, India has emerged as a fountainhead of innovation. Our Prime Minister has always talked about Atmanirbhar Bharat being not just a vision. He has always said कि हमें चुनौतियों में अवसर ढूंढना होगा. एक आत्मनिर्भर भारत की स्थापना हमें करनी होगी. A self-reliant India. And in that vein, the Prime Minister himself unveiled last week India's own domestic 4G stack. When BSNL advanced down the route of executing on 4G, there was a difficult decision to take. The easy path was to buy equipment from foreign vendors. Only 4 in the world. It was a club of a select 4. The difficult path was to invent our own 4G stack. And for the first time in history, we saw a public sector company, CDOT, combining efforts with an entrepreneurial company, Tejas Networks, along with an Indian system integrator, TCS, and in 22 months, we developed our own core software, we developed our own RAN, our radio access networks, And we had an Indian system integrator, TCS, and last week, the Prime Minister unveiled 92,564 towers that connect Kashmir to Kanyakumari and Bharuch to Arunachal Pradesh in India with our own domestic 4G stack. For the first time, a club that was monopolized by 4 countries, Sweden, Finland, South Korea, and China, a club that was monopolized by 5 companies, Huawei, ZTE, Samsung, Nokia, and Ericsson. Today, India, ladies and gentlemen, has entered the club with its own 4G stack. And therefore, this is India's innovation capability and innovation enterprise. But we are not going to rest here. These 1 lakh towers will be the seed of the tall tree that will be established within India of technology innovation. Within the next 6 to 8 months, we will be switching these 4G towers to 5G networks and providing end-to-end 5G network capability across the length and breadth of India. We've already expanded our subscriber base, doubled it in the last 12 months on our 4G network. Today on 5G in India, we have close to 350 million subscribers. If you look at the capability of India, whether you look at our broadband penetration of 944 million, whether you look at our UPI transactions of close to 260 billion per year, India can stand out, ladies and gentlemen, as a digital-first nation of the world. And therefore today, with those achievements behind us, we look to the future. And if connectivity is the backbone of growth, artificial intelligence emerges as the next natural frontier. And therefore, India has approached this challenge or this opportunity also with our India AI mission, building large-scale computer infrastructure, supporting homegrown foundational models, and empowering startups and research institutions. I'm glad to report today that private players have already deployed close to 38,000 GPUs, investing close to 20,000 crores across the ecosystem. We are going to be investing, including our fabs, close to about $10 billion across this ecosystem. But our goals must not be focused on just imitation. They must be focused on Atmanirbhar innovation. AI designed for India, by India, in Indian languages, and for Indian priorities. And therefore, AI must not be seen as an imported product to be consumed, but as Swadeshi capability to be cultivated. And let me give you an example of that. As Minister of Communication, when I recently went to Bengaluru and addressed my Grameen Dak Sevaks of my postal offices, as I was speaking in English, there was an AI module that was translating my speech, a government-invented module called Bhashini, translating my speech into Kannada live on the dais. That to me was innovation. That to me was empowerment. But along with this innovation and empowerment, AI also faces a few challenges across the world. And if I may outline 4, the first is to be able to scale sustainably. Our data centers consume a huge amount of power. But in India, close to 30% of our power sources already come from renewable energy. Second, talent scarcity. We need to make sure that we reskill our human resource to be able to take advantage of this opportunity. The third, regulatory catch-up. The speed of innovation always outpaces policy. And therefore, within the whole of government approach, the Prime Minister has mandated 2 new innovations. The first, for AI in this sector, each ministry will adopt its own approach. There will not be a central regulatory approach towards the innovation in AI. The second, we must put in place regulatory sandboxes for innovation and entrepreneurism across our value chain in AI. The third is the challenge of ethics, fairness, and inclusion. And within this, building trust in the digital domain is key. Protecting our customers is key. And therefore, India is coming up with a digital consumer charter to make sure that we put those firewalls in place. India is primed, ladies and gentlemen, to emerge in time as one of the top 5 AI nations of the world. Along with this enterprise, turbulent times, as we all know, will come and go. What remains constant is India's intellect, her capability of knowledge, her capability of innovation, her capability of resilience, all the way from Kautilya's Chanakya Niti to Aryabhatta's invention of the zero. It has been a continuum of innovation in India. And that is the discovery that India is going through again today. While we talk about this environment, I must refer to 2 heroes of India that has emerged on the global stage. The first, Priya Donti at MIT. She's applying AI to energy grid forecasting and climate resilience. The second, Mitesh Khapra at IIT Madras, the co-founder of AI Bharat, who along with his team is building databases for 22 Indian official languages, developing India's first indigenous foundation model. And therefore today, ladies and gentlemen, as India has many firsts, seconds, and thirds under her belt, number 1 in mobile data consumption, 26 to 28 GB per month. Number 2 in internet users and mobile phone manufacturing. Number 3 in startups, scientists, and technicians. Number 4 in renewable energy capacity. With all of this under her belt, India is set to move from becoming the world's 4th largest economy to the world's 3rd largest economy by the end of 2027, and the world's 2nd largest economy by the year 2038. The power of a nation lies in her ability to harness both wealth and intellect. Today, India is doing both, building Swadeshi and Atmanirbhar capabilities, shaping the future with confidence in these turbulent times. India, ladies and gentlemen, does not just survive. She leads, she guides, along with the spirit of Vasudeva Kutumbakam. Thank you very much.
May I now request Mr. Iqbal Dhaliwal to make his brief observations. Iqbal, over to you from there.